Hi guys, in today's video we are going to be taking a look at 4 character Easter eggs and or trivia in Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville. Now I have done a number of Easter egg videos, but I thought with this one I'd do something a little different and take a look at some references relating to the characters in the game, some of which I think you'll find are actually pretty interesting. As usual, just before we begin, remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content on this channel and want to help it grow. Anyway, let's get started. Kicking off with number 1, we have Space Cadet, who is a character of many talents, but I want to draw your attention to her primary weapons ammo count, which is 42. So you might be wondering why the number 42 is so special. Well, this is actually a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book series, where it is stated the answer to life, the universe and everything is 42. Not only this, but interestingly, unlike most other characters, Space Cadet doesn't have a perk that increases her ammo. Now this may be because 42 is a lot already, or it could have been intentional so that her ammo count is always 42. Now just before I move on, I just want to mention that this Easter egg information can be found on the PvZ wiki. I haven't just magically worked this out. Moving on to number 2, we are now going to talk about Scientist, and I think out of all of these Easter eggs I find this one the most interesting. So if you go into the character menu and take a look at Scientist's default costume, this can be found on other costumes but this is just for ease, and if you have a look at his name badge that sticks off his lab coat, you will notice that it actually has a name written on it. Now this can only be seen with higher resolutions and even still it's very hard to see, but Scientist actually has a name. Now with the power of Photoshop, I've tried to make the name badge easier to see, but the name written on it is Brains, not spelled how it is in the rest of the game, but B-R-A-N-E-Z. So spread the word, Scientist has a name, Brains is coming for your brains. Next up is 80s Action Hero, and yes, this might be a bit obvious, but of course 80s Action Hero is referring to an actual 80s action hero. Now I know this character has a number of different outfits, but I'm going to talk about the default costume. So the hero reference here of course is Rambo. So Rambo is a very famous 80s action movie where the main character John Rambo is played by Sylvester Stallone, most famously known for the Rocky films as well as many others. So not only does 80s Action Hero have the bushy hairstyle, the tank top and bandana, the weapon that he uses is a bow and arrow, albeit a futuristic bow and arrow, but this is Rambo's weapon of choice. Not only does he use it for some super stealth missions, but also uses some explosive arrows to cause havoc in other parts of the film. But if this isn't enough to convince you, just have a listen to his voice. If you can't tell, 80s Action Hero's voice sounds very similar to Sylvester Stallone's, and because 80s Action Hero speaks in a zombie language, this kind of refers to Sylvester Stallone, as there have been many jokes, often mean, about his distinctive voice and accent. If you actually watch the original Rocky film, Sylvester hadn't been in the US for very long at that time, and is very difficult to understand in the film at times. So I feel 80s Action Hero's voice alludes to this. Finally, if you look on the back of 80s denim jacket, you will see a tiger, and this may be referencing the Eye of the Tiger song that is most famous not in Rambo but from Rocky. If you take a look at the album cover for the Eye of the Tiger by the band Survivor, you'll notice the tiger on 80s top is very similar. So for the final character Easter egg, we're going to take a look at Electric Slide. And again, this is a reference based on the name. So Electric Slide is actually the name of a famous dance in the 1980s, but of course Popcap made this a bit more literal by giving her roller skates, which is awesome. So if you look at the dance itself, it does have this kind of sliding motion. You have a lot of foot brush steps and going back and forth, which kind of goes perfectly with how Electric Slide moves in game, with this kind of clumsiness, which I love. Also, if you go into the character menu, Electric Slide's entrance animation is actually her doing a bit of the Electric Slide dance. Another thing is that in the original song called Electric Boogie by Marcia Griffiths, one of the lines is boogie woogie woogie or boogie woogie woogie. I also think it's great that Popcap called Electric Slide's primary the Boogie Bolt. Anyway guys, that's about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your thoughts are on these Easter eggs, and if you know any other Easter eggs, be sure to put them in the comments below. Other than that, remember to subscribe and I shall see you in the next one. Okay, thanks guys.